1, 2, 3. And we are live. Welcome to episode 57 of the Ask Self-Belief Chief podcast. I am your host, David Holman. I'm a coach, author, and speaker. Any questions that people have in and around the concept of self-belief, fulfillment, anything that they're finding difficult, I'm answering their questions live on Instagram. And then if you're listening to the podcast, you're obviously catching up. If you want to be asking questions live on the show, all you got to do is each day, each evening, UK time, about 6 or 7 p.m, join us on Instagram live, and I'll get around to answering people's questions. I will be extending it to doing live through YouTube and Facebook and whatever else, so people on different platforms can join in as well. So hello to everyone on Instagram live. Hello, I'll just give you all a wave. If you've got questions for me on Instagram live, please send them in this comments box down below. Okay, so whilst people join and questions come in, what I want to talk a little bit about today was Jared Leto. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, why the hell are we going to talk about Jared Leto? Jared Leto is someone who really intrigues me, and he's had some highs with, let's talk about his acting career. He's had some highs with the Dallas Buyers Club, where he won Best Supporting Actor. Was absolutely fantastic in that. And then he had lows where he was going to play the Joker in Suicide Squad, something that everyone was really, really looking forward to. And to be almost through no fault of his own, he just got cut out of a lot of it for some reason. I don't really know why. And they went with a different sort of angle to the film. The film didn't really make sense. And he, unfortunately, his Joker, which probably wasn't even that bad. Excuse me, whilst I just take a sip of water. Probably wasn't that bad. Just came across worse because it was in such a shit film. So, Suicide Squad, if you ever think about watching it, just don't. It is absolutely terrible. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So, Jared Leto, he's had those highs, but he's obviously had a great music career with 30 Seconds to Mars as well. Really talented artist, does rock climbing, does so many things, and he does so many things well. And the thing is, people look at Jared Leto, and he is very inspirational. He is fantastic at what he does. I'm a huge, huge fan of what he does. And he talks about extending your interest to different areas. Extending your interest to different areas. And I think that's really important, but you have to know where you are with your business, with your personal brand, with who you want to become. You have to know where you are on that journey. The reason why Jared Leto can diversify in so many different areas is because he had 30 Seconds to Mars, which became successful, and he spent years and years with his brother and his other bandmates, making that as successful and big as possible. Okay, and when you make that as successful and big as possible, you then have a brand to work with and a set of fans to diversify with who will follow you into different areas. What I see too often, even if it's within the realm of what you're doing, so for example, there's someone who, wants to be a surfer, okay, and they want to make money through surfing, so they go and enter loads of surfing competitions. Great, okay, fine. Then they think, I'm going to do an Instagram page so I can do lots of advertising. That's great. That's fine. That makes sense. Then he thinks, I'm going to make a YouTube channel. Okay, yeah, sure, makes sense. Video content with surfing, and if you're lucky, it's having a videographer and whatever. Then he talks about, maybe I should do a podcast on surfing. Okay, well, sure. If you want, sounds like a lot already. Then he talks about, maybe I should go and do all these speaking engagements on surfing. Dude, come on. So people just try all these different things because one thing, they have lots of interests, but also they find one thing doesn't quite work and then they try something else, and one thing doesn't quite work and they try something else. You've got to nail the first thing before you diversify, just like Jared Leto did. Diversification will come, but you have to develop and expand your say main skill or talent, build yourself from there, be successful in that area, and then diversify. I'm speaking to experience because I have made so many mistakes in trying to do lots of different things. Now, do you know what I do? So yeah, I do speaking, yeah, I do coaching. That sort of just comes my way. I do a podcast. That podcast then can go on Instagram, link through on Instagram, back to my podcast. YouTube, uploading podcast episodes. Twitter, podcast. Facebook, podcast. Everything is pointing to one thing, whereas I'm diversifying channels, but pointing back to essentially this podcast. Because what I found was it's through spoken word or messaging that I'm able to reach more people and make a difference. I have more followers on Instagram than anything else. Not particular great platform for podcasting, but I thought podcasting was the way to go. So now my Instagram page is designed to channel people towards the podcast. Now, that's great. And one day, if the brand, Self-Belief Chief brand, comes big enough, then I might diversify into something completely different than coaching. But for the time being, I'm trying to nail this, and I do okay. But it's when I nail this that if I have these other ideas, and I have ideas for films, and I have ideas for TV shows, and I have ideas for, how human resource departments can run differently. I have ideas in all these things, but there's no point running after them before I've succeeded in the first thing. Success is subjective, I get that, but nail it first, be a success in one area first. So that's a little bit of what I want to talk about in terms of Jared Leto. I've had some questions in or some initial thoughts and comments, so I'm gonna quickly flick through and see what people have said. So I'm gonna wave to a few of you. So hello to Matt as well. Sue says, how can you stay positive all the time? So yeah, it's difficult. I can understand people want to diversify because, they're doing something and it's not working. They want to try something new and it gives them a sense of excitement, and then maybe there's an opportunity and whatever else. But you do have to stick with something and just play the long game with it and see where it takes you. It is hard to stay positive in those moments. Your positive mindset is affected by three things: the language you use, so how you talk about stuff, what you focus on, you feel, and how you move your body. And all of those things adjust your positive mindset. So I've had some tough moments recently where, I've struggled to pick myself up. It's tough to be positive all the time. And some of those things are difficult, but I could sort of, whilst I'd be upset about something or find something difficult, rather than fall apart completely, can I keep myself afloat or just there and thereabouts by using those things? You're not going to be happy all the time. You're not going to be positive all the time. You don't have to be. But your focus, your language, and how you move your body are the things that will affect that. How can you find yourself? Now, I've had this question a number of times, and it's a weird one. I eventually worked out an answer for it, and what I think is that to find yourself, you've got to find the ways in which you want to do three things. How do you want to grow, or where do you want to see growth? Who do you want to give to? And what are you grateful for? If you work out answers for those three things, I think you'll have a very good understanding of who you are at your core. So that's the answer to that question. Loveson's just joined. Do I give a fuck is just joined. That's great username. Why not? 98 Mossab, 79 Robinho. Interesting numbers. Musa and Cedar has joined as well. So if you've got any questions for me on Instagram Live, send them in this comments box down here, and I'll get round to answering them. Pep's Interest has just joined, so hello to you as well. Any questions, just send them in the comments box below. So we've talked about Jared Leto and how he excelled in one area before he diversified, and what looks like many, many talents that he has. We need to focus on one particular area first, succeed, develop a personal brand in that area, and then diversify. Too many people are trying all these different things. We diversify because we want to pick ourselves up when things aren't going well. Play the long game. It's not going to happen overnight. And if you're not willing to be patient and you don't love what you do, get out the game now. Save yourself the pain. Don't do it because you think entrepreneurship is sexy or whatever else, because it's not. It sucks. But if you love what you do, then you'll stick with it. If you have a strong enough why, then you'll stick with it. That's the important thing. And I hope the answers to some of those questions are relevant as well. How you can find yourself, how you stay positive. Hopefully there's some useful information for you there as well. Let me just have a quick scroll through Instagram. Hello to all of you. Thank you for the waves. Really enjoying it. Thank you very much. What else are people saying? How to improve confidence. Yeah, I'm going to get asked this question every day pretty much, aren't I? How to improve confidence. Now, I have a model called the 6 sources of self-belief. If any of you have children, this model is so easy that your children could understand it. And that is why people work with me or want to work with me, is because I make the concept of self-belief or confidence or whatever, something that can seem very difficult to control and obtain and get a hold of, very, very simple. And that's called the 6 sources of self-belief, and it's the 6 areas that anyone needs to develop self-belief. It's a case of, if you're missing in some of these areas, if you're missing if you're not high or get the right words, come on, David, you can do this, David, come on, build that confidence. So again, if you are low in any of those 6 areas, then you're going to struggle to have a level of self-belief. But if you're high in all of those areas, then you're going to have a lot of self-belief. I think the 6 sources of self-belief, while simple, is a podcast all in itself. So tune in again tomorrow. I have gone through it multiple times in the podcast before, so I won't do that now. And maybe we'll save that for an episode for tomorrow. Okay, here we go. Some more questions. So let's have a read of these. So can I think about success in many different things, or just focus on one thing? You can have ambitions and dreams and whatever in lots and lots of different areas. My top goal ambition, which I won't even tell you now, is so far beyond where I am now, but I do think about it. But it's not what I focus on. It comes into my head because it would be a wonderful thing to do, but it is not what I focus on day in and day out. So have aspirations, have dreams, but you've got to focus on one thing. So absolutely, yes, focus on one thing. Sua says, let's have a read of the question. Sometimes I feel that I'm useless and I can't do anything, especially when I listen to others telling me that I can't or that I'm not capable. You have to not give a shit what people think. Because if you care what people think, you're missing or not focusing on the one thing you need to be focusing on more than anything else. If you are focusing on what people think, you are not focusing on what people need. What do people need? What people, the thing that you want to do, what do people value? What do they need from you? What are the questions you're answering? But if you're spending too much time thinking about what people think of you, you're being distracted off that main mission and objective, and you will never succeed if you do that. So it's super, super important that you can stay aligned and stay strong to who you are. And focus on that singular mission of how can I do more for people? What is it that people need? And you won't have time to think about what people think of you. Do you know how many people think what I do is a load of shit? Yeah, and as I get bigger, more people think what I do is a load of shit. That's absolutely fine, because there's enough people who enjoy what I do. But even if there weren't that many people, if I was just affecting a few people, that would be absolutely fine. And in some ways, a lot of this stuff, I'm learning about self-belief more and more, something I struggled with when I was younger. It's kind of cathartic for me in some way. So I haven't got time to worry about what people think. There was a point in time where I absolutely did, but I came up with something which was, don't worry about what people think of you, worry about what people think, value, fear, are anxious about, want solving, all of those things. There's so many things that you could be focusing on which would allow you to achieve that particular objective. So that's what I need you to focus on. Focus on a singular mission, and that's what I'm talking about. Like Jared Leto, don't diversify yet. If you're not there yet, focus on one thing. Focus on what people need. Focus on what people worry about, what they fear, what they value. Focus all of your energy on one thing and play the long game with that. If you play the long game with that, you will build a brand that people can trust, that's reliable, that's consistent, that makes sense, and you'll start to see the results you desire. My name is David Holman. If you change today will change your life. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your life wherever you are. This is episode 57 of the Ask Self-Belief Chief podcast. Please download and share episodes. Get the message out with as many people who you think need to hear these podcast episodes. You can join us live on Instagram every day, UK time, about 6 or 7 p.m. What else? You can listen to this on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you are. There's enough platforms that this podcast is going out on. And if you go to selfbeliefchief.com right now, you can get a free copy of my book, Thinking Lies, Learning How to Believe in Yourself. So you can get a digital copy of that. I am working on the audio book because obviously with all of you listening, you clearly love your audio, and audio is a big thing these days. So I certainly want to be able to help in that regard. So as I said, my name is David Holman. If you change today will change your life. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your life. I'm going to say that one more time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your life. And I'll see you on episode 58.